Welcome, my dear Romanian enthusiasts, to week 4 and the week where everything will start making a lot more sense and all your Romanian skills will get a little bit of something extra. Since we all got today to, and we got past the grammatical terms and we got into this new world of language skills, I want to announce that next week on the 30th of January, which is a Thursday at 7 p.m. Romanian time, there will be this live Q&A session advertised over here, and I am welcoming all of you there to talk about everything we have discussed in these 30 days, as well as everything that you need in order to build your own learning plan, something that is going to be covered on day 28, and to help you get an accountability buddy. That being said, I'm going to invite you to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment your thoughts on vocabulary, and after we get through all the tips and tricks and resources, you can talk about your own journey and your opinion, how you agree or disagree with what I say in this video. So, vocabulary is basically learning words, right? You start learning a new language, and on your journey you need to learn different words. Some of them might be new, some of them might be not so new to your own, compared to your own language. And others might be false friends. A false friend is a word that looks exactly the same, but is with a different meaning. For example, sensible would be sensibil in România, but sensibil in Romanian means sensitive. That's a false friend. Now, what we're going to cover today is really tips and tools to improve your vocabulary when you just start Romanian. And my first and foremost top tip would be to start using flashcards if you haven't already. We have discussed a bit about flashcards when we talked about the random word generator, the cuvinte care, and basically most of things in week 1 help you a lot with vocabulary. And also repetition is key when you learn new words. If you just put them in your flashcards and repeat them once, that's not really enough. And also doing them every day, it's good at the beginning, but it can be redundant after a while. We'll get into that on the special tip that I have, because every single class or video in week 4 will have a special tip towards the end. So hang on to the video, there will be a special tip towards the end. Then I would say to build these flashcards, you either can do them manually on a piece of paper, old school, or you can get Anki, which is very useful. Search Anki on Google. Links also should be in the description. If you haven't, or if you quit really Duolingo, that's also a good way to learn vocabulary. Really random vocabulary, sometimes even not so useful, but those are two ways to learn vocabulary, as in flashcards, or in a gamified version if you want with Duolingo. I'm not a big fan of Duolingo, but for learning words, that's good. Now, if you want to go back to what we talked in week 1 and use your own flashcards, if you feel more autodidact, if you feel like you can study stuff on your own, and you have, let's say, enough time, you could go to dicționardesinonime.ro, so a synonyms dictionary, which synonyms are really, really useful to improve your vocabulary. Go there, search for, I don't know, prieten, that's a random example, and you can find some interesting translations. But for instance, you have here amica, and it even gives you antonyms, which is really, really useful. And that's how you can improve your vocabulary. You can write them on your flashcards, or you can just have a separate flashcard with it. Or in your, for example, in your writing, you can try to, or in your speaking, you can try to use the alternatives. You know, think for sometimes for some words, you ought to have. See what I did there? I just changed that might to an ought to. Just change a bit the ways you interact with the language, in the sense that there are other options for words, and this is a good way to do that. Another thing you could do is to find what we call in Romanian the word family, or the lexicon. I mean, lexicon in English, if I'm not mistaken, it actually means vocabulary, but the lexic of or familia lexicală of a word means, if you go to Cuvinte Care, a site we have covered already, you can build this word family, starting from a given word and then seeing what words can end with that and what words can begin with that, in the sense that some might get prefixes and some of them might get suffixes. So for instance, if we look at prieten and we search here and they begin with prieten, I assume prietenă is one of them, prietenia is one of them, prietenește, yeah, those are all suffixes. Prietenească, they are all suffixes, they go at the end. But if we want to see words that end with prieten, well, apparently there's only one left, neprieten, which is not really used. But if you look for example, we could have a look at prietenos. I think that would be even a better one. Neprietenos, prietenos. Okay, well, you see what I mean? Veni is also probably a really good example, because you can have a lot of different verbs specifically that are a derivative of a veni, cuveni, deveni, reveni, conveni, parveni, preveni, proveni, sloveni, surveni, I don't know some of them, redeveni, that's even a double prefix one. So this is how you can spend some time and build your vocabulary. Obviously all those words have a description. If not, you can just use DeepL and translate what they mean. And you know, you can build these vocabulary journals. I used to do one for Spanish myself. They used to be like every page of a notebook, basically I split it into 3. And since verbs and nouns are probably the most important, they had, and the most common, they had their own different columns. And then on the third one, I just put really others. And on this others, I just had, you know, pronouns, and I specified it's a pronoun or a conjunction or an adjective or an adverb or a preposition or so on, because they definitely will be less common than verbs or nouns. And then you put the dictionary form. If you want to go that far as putting in Romanian, for example, for pronouns the plural or the genitive dative, fair enough, you can do that, but it all depends on your level. And that's what you can do with what I call a word journal, for example, and have this like you can even open a Google Doc or have a spreadsheet with it. It's up to you, but visit it every now and then, like see if you have seen that word already, and you know, you can cross check this with your flashcard deck, which can be very, very useful. Other than that, obviously, like when you read and watch films or listen to podcasts or any kind of other tools, just try to note down whatever new word you find, and that will improve your learning. But nothing will improve your vocabulary learning more than spaced repetition. I'm not gonna get too much into it. There are so many things about spaced repetition here. Duolingo uses them. And yeah, the spaced repetition is a very, very, very useful tool I think you can see it here. It's basically saying how you should learn words at a periodical amount of time, given on, like, depending on how well you remember them. Anki, if you download the Dex on Anki, it also uses spaced repetition. This is how I learned a lot of vocabulary in Spanish and German, and yeah, it's so important to do it, because if you don't repeat the words, then you'll just forget them. They're completely useless. All the time you spent, it's basically gone in vain. So learn a bit about spaced repetition and see how you can introduce that into your learning plan. The learning plan we will talk more about on day 28, where hopefully all these things should come together. All of the tools that I mentioned in this video should be in the links, and also the tricks that I mentioned about, like doing lists and including all the new words that you learn. Try to take as much as possible from this and integrate that into your learning. And please tell us if you have other tips on how to use vocabulary. This is like, as this series has been, it's mostly for beginners, but anybody can use those skills. And if you feel like there's something I missed, please let me know in the comments below. If you have anything to say about the stuff that I said, please also let me know. And until tomorrow, when we speak about reading and we tick this box, la revedere.